Welcome back to class. Let's go ahead and bow in. Trip. Kunye. Let's start by jogging in place just a little bit. Move your arms. Relax. Get the blood flowing. Go into some hip twists. Now, as we're doing this hip twist, this is what I want you to do. When I twist towards my left, I'm going to punch across with my right. When I twist towards my right, I'm going to punch with my left. And I'm punching all the way across, and I'm trying to connect my hips in with my feet, my hands all together. Remember, my hands come right back to my face. They don't come back to here. They come back to my face. Don't put a lot of power into it. Try to get it moving real easily, though. Try to flow. Now, as we're doing this, what I want you to do is I want you to move forward just a little bit. So if you watch how I do that, when I'm here, if I'm going to punch with my right and I go across, so I'm twisting towards my left, I'm just going to move forward with my left as I do that twist. Now, same thing, I move forward with my right. I'm not moving forward a lot, but I'm still twisting my hips just like I would a hip twist. I move forward. Then when I get as far as I can go, I can do the same thing, coming backwards. It's a little bit weird, but you can still do it. Turn, punch, turn, punch. Like I said, I'm not moving forward a whole lot, but I am moving forward. And I can do the same thing coming backwards. Obviously, if we're trying to actually hit something going backwards like this, we're not going to have very much power. I'm just trying to connect those hands with those hips. Move forward again. And backwards. My hips twist all the way. You see my belt go from one side all the way to the other. Let's go ahead and put our hands on our hips and let's circle our head. I'm going to go 2 times one way and 2 times the other way. Definitely don't rush this one. You don't want to hurt your neck. All right, now let's go ahead and get into sparring stance. What we're going to do is we're going to do double front snap kick. So 1, 2, and we're going to switch sides. 1, 2, and switch. 1, 2, and switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, and switch. Keep going with me. They don't have to be super high. You don't have to put a lot of power into it right now. Try to keep your balance and control that leg. Try not to fall to the front, bring it all the way back, and switch. And now, keep going. We're going to do the same thing with a roundhouse. And switch. Make sure you breathe. Every time you do a kick. And take a breath in, and out, in, and out. Now we're going to do solo drill number 6, which is going to be our roundhouse into a skip side kick. So if you watch, I'm going to kick with the back leg, roundhouse kick. I drop it down, and as I drop this down, because I know I'm going to do a skip side kick or hop step side kick next, I have my toes pointed that way. It's going to make it easier for me compared to being right here, which isn't that much more difficult, but since I just did that kick, my toes were already that way anyways, and so I can just go easily into it. So you don't have to kick, set it down so your toes are facing front, and then go to that side kick. It's just adding a little bit more time if you do it that way. So we're trying to cut out that time. Ready? So kick, roundhouse kick, Drop it down in front. Notice my toes are to the side. Skip, side kick. Now I'm going to get to this side. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides, just so we're alternating each time. Kick, set it down, skip, side kick. Roundhouse, skip, side kick. Switch sides. Roundhouse, skip, side kick. If you can, what I want you to be able to do is really connect those two kicks together. So if you watch, as soon as my foot touches the ground, I'm already going for my skip side kick. I'm not really pausing too much in between. Oh, other side. So I'm not going to go here. Pause, wait, 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 and then a kick. I'm going to do it all together. So I kick 1, and as soon as that foot's here, touches the ground, I'm already moving in for my skip side kick. So let's keep practicing this a little bit more. Make sure you're alternating each side. Do it along with me. If you can go a little bit faster than me, that's awesome. If you can't go a little faster than me yet, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Try to cover a lot of space if you can. If you can get a lot of distance on it, that's great. You never know, your opponent might be moving back really fast, and you got to close in that distance. Make sure we're still breathing though. And take a breath in and out. In and out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab me a bag to use. If you have a heavy bag or something that you could punch, go ahead and get that, get to it, whatever it is. I like to use these bags, the body opponent bags, just because I like to be able to actually hit targets and see the targets. So the next thing we're going to go over is going to be our uppercut. So we're going to practice it like this. I'm going to stand in front of something, and if you only have a hanging bag, you can use it and punch upwards into it. It's going to be a little bit different. Obviously, I have a chin, which is what you'd be aiming for right here. If you don't have that, then just punch into it. So say this is the flat part of the bag, punch into it. Obviously, trying to make contact around where your head level is. So we're going to just work on that rotating into it and not dropping the elbow down. And we're going to be doing it from both our rear hand and our front hand. So if you watch, I'm going to start off by circling my hip. I drop my knees, I bend my knees a little bit, drop my weight. Notice how my knuckles are still pointed to the sky though. They're not pointed outwards, still pointed to the sky. I come up and I extend it outwards. Now, since this hip is pushed forward because I just did the uppercut, this side is already cocked. I'm going to do an uppercut on this side. And now from here, I circle around, here, here. Notice after I do that punch though, it comes back to my head as my other one comes in. Just like this. So I want you to go ahead and do this along with me. You can pick up the pace if you'd like to. If you want to go for some body uppercuts, you can do that as well. But I really want you getting that hip turn so it drops down, I turn, and I lift it up as I do my uppercut. Same thing on the other side. So go ahead and do these along with me, alternating hands. Make sure we're not dropping this down first and then punching. Knuckles stay pointed towards the sky the entire time. Connect those hips with it. You can work on, if you have something like this at least, you're able to work on different distances. So sometimes my uppercut might extend out a little bit farther because my opponent moved back, which is fine if I shoot it out like that, but it's not ideal. We want it to go straight up. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it with the other foot in front. So now I've got my right foot in front. Just go ahead and switch sides, whichever side you started with. And we're going to start from the rear hand, uppercut, and then the front hand. Again, I'm still turning my hips and I extend my legs to raise my hips up into this punch. Try to establish a nice little flow. Eventually you'll be able to start going a little bit faster with it, but I don't want you going fast yet if your hips are not connected with your punches. If your hips are connected with your punches, by all means, go as fast as you'd like. But if your hips are not connected to it yet, I don't want you to go fast. Get the idea of it. We want to really have a good connection between our hands and our hips. Same thing, our feet and our hips. All of our power all comes from the hips. All right, so go ahead and take a breath in. I'm gonna move Bob right out the way for just a second. We're gonna bring him back here in a minute. All right, now we're gonna do Taeguek Ee Jang. So, go ahead and do it on my count. Chop. 준비. 1, look left, low block. 2, step forward stance, punch to the center. Make sure our stance and our hand end at the same time. Look over the right shoulder. 1, 2. If you notice, watch my dobok. I'm going to try to make it, so you saw how it started here and it kind of popped around. That means I have that twisting power into it, is when it does that, and you might be able to hear a snap too, and that's another thing that you want into here. Now we're going to go middle block, look left, low block, front snap kick, high section punch. Remember, we have to rechamber it, set it down at the same time. Don't just let it fall. And do the same thing to the other side. Low block, front snap kick, high section punch, forward stance. Left hand, high block. Step forward, right hand, high block. I'm going to right hand, middle block, step all the way around, middle block. Look to the right, middle block. Look left, low block. Front snap kick, punch. Front snap kick, punch. Front snap kick. Left leg, your back leg goes all the way around. And let's do this one more time. Trip. 준비. Look left, low block. 1. Forward stance punch. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. Look left. 1. Front snap kick, high section punch. 2. 1. 2. High block with the left. 1. 2. All the way around, middle block. 1 and 2. Look left, low block. Front snap kick, punch. Front snap kick, punch. Front snap kick. Left leg, back leg goes around. Now, I'm going to bring my friend Bob back out here, and we're going to do a little bit more hand techniques. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to go over our hammer fist. So, we're going to do a little drill that's going to allow us to do a forward and reverse hand hammer fist. So if you watch, I'm going to stand here, and you can stand in a parallel stance, or you can put one in front of the other. Parallel stance will help you a little bit easier for this drill. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit forehand, just kind of like a middle block almost, hammer fist. And then we're going to bring it off to our other side, just kind of like a low block, except for now we're going to go back to the head, and we're going to follow through. Hammer fist, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand. So 1, 2. Now what I want you really doing too is I want you to connect your hips to this. So if you watch, I'm standing in this parallel stance. I'm going to go here. And now I shot my hip, my right hip, because my right hand's punching. And my right hip is pointed right at the center of his body. As I go through here, and then I turn back as I do my backhand. So now I'm back into that parallel stance, maybe a little bit more offside because I did do, strike coming back. So I might be a little bit more this way than a complete neutral parallel stance, but that doesn't matter too much. So I'm going to go here, my hip turned, here, my hip turned back. Now with the other hand, my left hand, strike, my hip turned even more, and then goes back. here, 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 here. So I want you connecting your hands with this, with your hips. So with this, you can aim for the jaw, but I tend to like to aim for the temple when I use a hammerfist strike. But the jaw is going to work well too, except for jaw might hurt a little bit more on you than if you do it up here towards the temple. Strike, strike. So go ahead and do this along with me. Turn those hips, strike, 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 strike. Coil it up, uncoil. Here, here. Turn those hips, here. So that's just kind of one way that we can practice getting our hips together in with our hammer fist. So now we're going to do another hammer fist, and it's going to just be a forward hammer fist, just like this. So a good way to imagine it is those slasher films, the horror films. They all hold the knife like this. So we're going to do basically the same thing. You can imagine you have a knife or something right here, and just going right towards the face. It's just going to be a hammer fist, right? Anywhere in the face is going to be fine. I like to aim for the nose. The nose is going to make their eyes start to water, and they're not going to be able to see very well after that. And if you get lucky, they're going to have a nosebleed. So you'll have two effects. One, eyes water, they can't see you very well. Two, they have a nosebleed. Now they can't breathe through their nose anymore because it's going to get clogged up. So they only can breathe through their mouth, which is going to make them get tired a lot easier. And their mouth is going to be open, so if you do decide to aim for the jaw, it's going to be able to, break the jaw, knock them out easier since their mouth is open instead of connected to their entire skull. So we have a few advantages if we do have a good strike right to the nose. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to practice this. Bring it up, and I like to kind of stick the other hand out in front when I do this one. Maybe it came off of a jab, but I have this pull back, a push-pull power. So I pull with one, and I come here. And I could do anything to set this up. I could have done an eye jab. I could just do a regular jab. It could have been a hook, anything really. Uppercut. And I'm coming straight down, right here. We don't want to try to bring it up and then down. It's more in a straight line. So if you notice, my fist is in line with his nose as far as height goes, and I'm just going straight, just like this. I'm turning my hips. So go ahead. You can put one hand out here, touch their eyes, touch their head, get your distance. Boom, I did my jab. I didn't really hit him, but I know where his face is. And boom. If you're able to use something like this, then that's awesome. It's a really good target. If not, I want you to put maybe an X with some masking tape or something on whatever your punching bag is, and that'll help you aim, and you can imagine that's the face. So make sure it's about your head height or higher. We don't like to train for a smaller opponent. We always train for a larger opponent or somebody that's our same size. So continuing on, touch and strike. Touch and strike. Notice how I'm moving in. I step forward, boom. Step and slide footwork. Here, boom. My other hand stays up though. I'm not bringing it back to my belt as if it was a traditional technique. I'm bringing it back up to my face. So I'm here, boom. Because maybe I follow up with the hook. There's so many different options. So I want you to kind of think about it, play around with it, but we're just doing this forward hammer fist. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch sides. We're going to do this exact same thing. If you'd like, though, you can add a jab, you can add an eye jab, you can add a hook, and then go into it, whatever you want to do before it. Just something to get that other hand out in front, and then I'm striking as I pull back. Here, boom. If you notice that first time I kind of brought it down low, again, we want to make sure that we're bringing it back to our face. Here, boom. I'm closing that distance. Obviously, my jab can reach farther than my hammer fist can. So I have to close that distance, especially if I just did something, oh, I feel where he's at. Now I have to close that distance as I do it. Hit, 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 hit. if you're using this out in kind of a self-defense type scenario, somebody's attacking you, if you could pick up, say, a stick off the ground, and say that stick is only about 4 to 5 inches, but just enough so that I have a little tip right here, and I can do the exact same thing that we've been doing with these Hammerfists, except now I have a force multiplier. So this can translate into using a kind of a self-defense weapon, into striking with it. Like I said, if you have a tip of something that goes out that far, maybe you have a pin or something, if you really need to use this, use that Hammerfist the same way you would use, you know, kind of a knife or anything else. You can use a force multiplier with your Hammerfist to make it a lot stronger. So now we're going to move on to our knife hands. So that first drill that we did with our Hammerfist, we're going to do that exact same drill with our knife hands. So if you watch, I'm going to start forehand, knife hand, hip, turns. Notice now my target is to the throat, to the neck. I'm not aiming up here anymore. I could aim up here. I mean, it's the same target or the same part of the hand that's making contact as what I did with my Hammerfist, but you'll notice if you strike somebody like this onto the skull or a hard part of their body, it's going to be a lot more painful as a knife hand for me than it is if I used a Hammerfist. So this is going to be a lot less painful to strike to a hard surface than this is to a hard surface. One of the reasons why, if you notice when I'm here, straighten your fingers out, you'll notice that this muscle right here is relaxed. Right here on the outside, the part that we make contact with both of those strikes. Now I want you to make a tight fist, and you notice that muscle is flexed. So it's going to be a little bit more impact with it, but if it's all of this is loose and I hit something really hard, these knuckles can wobble more, and it's going to be a lot more painful for me compared to if I have it tight. These knuckles aren't really wobbly, that's all flexed in there, so I can hit hard surfaces without as much pain. So again, we're going to carry on what I was talking about before. Knife hand, forward strike, and then uncoil the hip for that backhand. I'm going to do the same thing. Other hand, forehand, backhand. I want you to try to keep your thumb onto the side. You can do this too. Some people like to do that. I'm not a big fan of it, just in case it slides and it gets caught. I like it completely connected right here, but I want you to make sure that's not like this. We want it attached. So forehand, backhand. Forehand, turn your hips, backhand. Make sure we have it down. So when we start moving a little bit faster, if you notice I was going kind of fast with that, whenever I was doing that uncoil here, I connected both of these strikes together with one hip movement. So I just did, let's say I'll start with my left. I struck, I went through it, my hips all the way closed this way, and now I went both hands. 1, 2, with that one turning of the hip. And I came back with the other side, 1, 2. So you can connect 2 strikes with one turning of the hip as long as they both impact while that hip is still moving. But if I go and I'm turned all the way here, and then I use this, it's not going to be the same. So I hit here, I'm halfway uncoiled, and I'm all the way. Same thing, 1, 2. That second strike hits right as it's ending of the movement, but I'm not hitting after the end of the movement, or else my arm isn't going to be attached to my hips, and I'm not going to have that power. So let's keep going. You can start with the backhand now if you want to work that way. When you start to feel comfortable with this, you can move off to the side as you do it. So I'm here, I go backhand, forehand. I'm moving one foot, other foot. And of course, I can still connect my knife hand to other strikes too. So say I do a jab and I come in. A really good target for a knife hand is going to be the trachea, the windpipe area, which is going to be right in here, which if I'm standing directly in front of him, can be a little bit difficult to hit. But now watch this. If I jab and I move off to the side, now based off of where I am now, I can easily hit that windpipe. Be careful hitting somebody's windpipe though. You can kill them. So you really have to be careful. Make sure you're not using deadly force if they're not, you know, really intent on hurting you or trying to kill you. If it's just a simple fight and you know they're not actually going to try to kill you, don't aim for the windpipe. Don't try to crush their trachea where they can't ever breathe again or they have to have surgery. But if you do need to use it, because maybe they have a weapon, they have something, they've shown intent, then that's perfectly fine. So you can jab and move off to the side of them. Maybe a hook and move off to the side. And then I can strike right here, which is going to be even better surface to attack than right here, in here. So that's just a basic overview of our knife hand strikes. Like I said, they work kind of like our hammer fist, especially in the movement, but we have different targets. We usually want to use a soft target for our knife hand, and we can attack harder targets with our hammer fist. So I'm going to go ahead and move Bob out of the way again. We're going to move on to solo drill number 7, which is going to be our front snap kick, followed by a jump front snap kick. So I'm here in my sparring stance. I'm going to go front snap kick. As I set it down onto the ground, I'm going to raise my other knee up and do a jump front snap kick. So the same leg is kicking twice. One more time. I kick, I set it down, and as soon as this sets down, as soon as it touches the ground, I'm springing off of it for my next one. So let's go ahead. We're going to do this, and we're going to be alternating. I'm not really going to count. You can watch me and try to go faster than me if you'd like, or slower. Figure it out whenever you start to feel comfortable with it. That's when you want to start picking up the pace. Let's go ahead and make sure that we are alternating each time, though. Ready? And begin. So front snap kick, jump, front snap kick. Kick. Make sure we breathe with this. So like I said, if you need to slow it down, think about it, that's perfectly fine. You can work on one, going distance with this, or you can work on kick and then trying to get a little bit higher with this. Either way, that's fine. Keep going with the movement. If you'd like to work on kicking the bag with that second kick, that's fine. Remember, if we're going to be kicking that bag, you want to use what? The ball of the foot. So I can kick one, hit with the ball of the foot as we do this. If you're aiming for the groin, you can use the top of the foot. Keep going. Felt like adding another kick in there, that's fine too. And let's go ahead and slow down a little bit. I'm going to move Bob back into position. Bob's having fun today. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to do our jab and uppercut. So, make sure we got him in a good spot for you guys. We're going to work on doing this 2 different ways. So the first way we're going to do is going to be the easy way. We're going to do alternating hands. So we're going to go jab, uppercut. Notice I have to close that distance. I can't do an uppercut here. Even if I extend it out, still not a good uppercut. I jab, and now as I'm retracting my jab, I'm moving forward with my uppercut. Jab, uppercut. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to do this. I'm going to do it 10 times, and I'm going to count for me. I want you to do it more times than me, if you can. Make sure you're doing good technique, but try to beat my pace a little bit. Ready? One, two. Make sure we're still turning that hip. Set. Net. Yes one. Yes one. Hook up. Close that distance each time. Yero. Hands up. Aho. Yol. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides now. We're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to jab, and I'm going to close the distance. I'm going to uppercut with my other side. So I'm jabbing with my right now, and I'm uppercutting with my left. Ready? Hane. Dol. Set. Net. Dasot. Yesot. Look up. Yero. Aho. Yol. Good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do both of those punches with the same hand. So instead of alternating like we did before, we're going to go 1, 2. I have to close that distance in order to hit that uppercut. But maybe my opponent was closing the distance already on me. So my opponent was coming in on me, and I did that jab, and maybe he slipped off to the side or something. Maybe I hit him, and he's still coming in, and I turn it right back into an uppercut. So I'm here, and I get my hips closer to it as I do that uppercut. So jab, uppercut, jab, retract it. As I retract, I cock that shoulder down, my hip is ready, and I go right in for my uppercut. On my count, again, if you can, do it a little bit faster than me. If you don't have a target, you can do it in the air. Make sure we're closing that distance as we're doing this. Hane. Dol. Set. Net. Dasot. Yesot. Look up. Still using that hip. Yero. Aho. Yol. And we're going to switch sides, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Ready? Hane. Dol. Set. Net. Dasot. Yesot. Look up. Yero. Aho. Yol. Take a breath in. Now, we're going to do the same thing we just did, except for we're going to replace the uppercut with a hook. But before that, we're going to change how we did our hook a little bit. So there's a few different ways to do our hook. What I've showed in the past is here, and I come in and I stir the pot. I punch out, and I bring it right back. Now we're going to work it just a little bit different. There's nothing wrong with that. It's still a good hook, but we're going to change it up, and we're going to practice it a different way today. Now, instead of doing it the stir the pot method, what we're going to do is we're going to move to the side. We're going to extend this out, and we're going to press, just like if we're doing a bench press. Here, and I drop my elbow as my rechamber. So same thing on the other side. I'm moving, and I'm bench pressing out this way. I'm still connecting it to my hip, and I just drop my elbow, and that's going to be my rechamber. Instead of stirring the pot, we're pressing out, drop the elbow for the rechamber. So we're going to start off alternating hands. We're going to jab, and we're going to do our hook and bring it right back. So again, I'm hitting like this now instead of like that. A little bit of a difference, but it's still a hook nonetheless. Ready? Hane. Dol. Set. When I do this, I like to move to the side. I don't advise staying in front of your opponent. What number was on? Net. Yes, one. Yes, one. Yes. Let's go. Yellow. Aham. Yellow. And we're going to switch sides, and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm closing in with my jab, and I'm turning my hip, doing my hook, and bringing it right back. Get back into my safe distance. I can't touch him, he can't touch me, and then I close the distance. So I really want you practicing closing that distance when we're doing these movements too. And there. Get back to your safe distance. Do. Sit. Net. Make sure we keep our wrist straight. Don't bend your wrist. Yes. Yes. Is it good? Get Uh-huh. Good. Now, so we just did our alternating jab and a hook. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same side, jab, hook. Jab, hook. 1, 2. All right. Closing that distance. And I'm hitting with that hook. So I'm here, boom. As I close the distance, I retract, and I throw that hook again right away. So we're going. If you want to practice this in the air, 1, 2. Make sure we still turn our hip. And I like to move off to the side. So say I'm in a straight line right here. I do my jab. And I'd like to step off to the side with my jab. And then again, with my hook, I step off to the side. Instead of straight forward here, I'm here. And I move offline. So you can practice it that way. You can practice it going straight forward right now until you still start to feel a little bit more comfortable going offline. Let's go ahead and practice them. My count. Hana. 2. Set. Net. Yes. 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 Is good. Yellow. Aho. Yo. Remember, as we retract, it comes back to the face. So I extend out, I retract to bring it back to my face, and then I throw my hook. Don't bring it back here and then throw your hook down from down low. Back to the face. Now we're going to do the same thing, other side. Ready? Hana. Jab. Hook. 3. Jab. Hook. Set. Net. Yes, sir. Make sure those hips are connected. Yes, sir. Is it good? Yellow. Aho. Yo. Take a breath in. Now we're going to do another one. So we're going to do uppercut and then followed by a hook. So again, just like before, we're going to be alternating. So I'm going to do a rear hand uppercut and I'm going to do a lead hand hook. In the air, uppercut. See, I'm coiled, and then I come back off to the other side. 1, 2. Make sure we're throwing our belt, we're turning our hips with these strikes. Ready? Like I said, if you have something, definitely use this. If not, go ahead and use the air. Hana. Alright, close the distance. Doi. Set. Net. That's it. Yes, sir. Good. Yero. Aho. Yo. Switch sides. Same thing. Rear hand, uppercut. Lead hand, hook. Hane. Doi. Turn your hips. Set. Net. Make sure we're trying to hit with those big 2 knuckles. Yes. Yes. Is good. Yero. Aho. Yay. Now, we did alternating, so we're going to do another one where it's going to be the same side. So we're going to do this with our lead hand now. So we're going to go uppercut, hook. Each time I'm going to cock that hip between them. So I go here, uppercut, back to that cocked position, hook. Remember, we could throw a cross in between that if we wanted to. There you go, uppercut, hook, cross. Or, excuse me, there you go, uppercut, cross, hook. And that's fine too, but now we're trying to throw them off. So maybe our opponent sees that we've been doing strikes. Anytime we do a punching combination, it's been left, right, left. So now we're trying to throw them off a little bit. So we're going to do 1, 2 on the same side. So let's get started. My count. 1, 2, 3. Make sure we cock that hip back each time. Set. Net. That's it. Excuse me. Yes, sir. Is it good? Yero. Aho. Yay. And we're going to do the same thing onto the other side. Hane. Yay. Set. Net. That's it. Yes, it. Good. Hero. Up. Yay. Take a breath in. And out. Go ahead and move Bob out of my way. So, now we're going to move on to our conditioning. So our conditioning, it's going to be an easy one today. It's kind of like a burpee, but no jump. So we're going to do push-up squats. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to kind of do it like a sprawl though, our push-ups. So I want you to drop down, boom, and drop your hips back. So where we are, you can see this line right here. My feet are going to be on this line. I'm going to drop down where my hands are basically on that line. It might be a little bit in front of us because it's weird to come right here and then shoot back. But we're going to try to get our hands close to where our feet are, and we're going to move our hips, which also start on this line, back. So we want to kind of imagine that somebody's shooting in for us and we're sprawling, so we're stopping the takedown because we want to stand up and we want to beat them up on our feet rather than having to go down onto the ground. So if somebody shoots in for a takedown, we're going to be doing this. But we're also going to be doing a push-up and a squat in between here. So let's get started. Go ahead and go down. Boom, see how my hips went back? And push up. Feet come up, get into a squat position, up, and then down again. Push up. Together, squat position, up. Push up, squat. Up. Down. Up. So we want to get into that squat position before we get up. So I'm here, boom. Instead of just raising up, we're going to squat and up. Keep going with me. If you can go faster than me, go ahead and go faster than me. If you can't, just try to keep up. If you start to get comfortable with that going down, and you feel like you can do this, you can go here. So notice I didn't put my hands on the ground before I started moving my hips back. That's going to be a little bit more realistic. Make sure you keep on. It'll be a little bit more realistic. I can shoot my hips back and then land on my hands. Make sure you do this on a soft surface, though. Don't do this on hardwood. Again. Push up. Squat. Keep going. All right, time. So, if you notice at the end I was saying you can throw those hips back before your hands even touch the ground like this. Yes, if we're just practicing it like this, that can be a little bit bad for our wrists, but it's also practicing that sprawl. If somebody's coming in on us and we do that, our body weight is going to land on top of them. Instead of our body weight into our wrists and breaking our wrists on whatever surface, our body weight smashes their head down into the ground. And that stops their takedown. All right, let's go ahead and raise our hands up. Take a breath in and touch your toes. And up. Breathe in. Go ahead and grab your leg. We're going to stretch our quads out a little bit. Switch. Good. And you can put your hand on the wall and open your chest up. If you feel a little bit sore from those push-ups, we want to try again our pectorals. And then also line your bicep up with it. That way you stretch your bicep as well. And we're going to do the same thing onto the other side. Good. Socket stretch. Turn the foot. Drop down deep. Other side. Turn the foot. From here, what I want you to do, I want you to drop your back knee down, the top of your foot, right where your shoelaces are, your instep, put that on the ground. And now, with this one, slide forward into the splits. So this is a different type of splits than what we usually do. It's still a good type of stretch. It focuses a little bit more on your hamstring and then the top part of your hip flexors. This will also give you higher front snap kicks and higher axe kicks. Now we're going to go do the same thing onto the other side. So we're going to put just like this, shoelaces down, heel, and slide your heel forward. Stand up, hip twist, tray up, kunye. I hope you have a great rest of your day, guys.